Okay, this is 2024 Mason Lake Race 1. The category is category 4-5 men's race. And yeah, unfortunately this race ended in a crash for me, and we'll see the footage shortly. But I think there's still a lot of things that I want to talk about, just make it kind of documented for me to look back in the future, and also just kind of see what I did right and what I did wrong. Not necessarily what I did wrong, but like what I can improve. So before the race starts, the forecast says it's going to be raining, so I think everyone is a little bit nervous. Luckily there's no actual rain during the race, but the road was definitely wet, as you can see from the splashes.
How's it going? Good, are you? Not too bad.
So before this race, the team to watch for is the Apex, which, you know, I'm talking to one of the riders right now, and yeah, once they show their jersey on the screen, I'll point it out. They have the biggest team, about 8 riders. They're all very, very strong, and they won. They had very, very good results in the previous race, like 2 weeks before this week's race. So yeah, the rider on the right side of the screen is the Apex rider. This is the eventual winner of today's race. So my strategy going into today is basically mark Apex move. Judging from their previous race, I know that they are going to be very active, and I know they're going to be sending moves, attacking the group over and over, and hope one of the attack goes away. So I'm just by myself. Well, I have 2 teammates in this race, but one of them is a Cat 5 teammate. He just recently started racing, and I don't want to count on him to mark any moves, and I want him to have a really, really good experience and finish with the pack. So as we make this right-hand turn, the race officially started. It wasn't very clear, so everyone was still kind of guessing. At this point, I am not in the very front of the race, but that's okay. At the time, I was like, should I be making my way up front? But then I was like, you know, I don't have to rush right away because I'm actually surrounded by the Apex riders. So as long as I am with the strongest team, I don't think the pressure is on me to try to make it to the front of the race. So at this point, I just kind of focus on, you know, staying where I'm at and just be around Apex riders. Yeah, you can hear there's a lot of braking occasionally. I'm not sure why. We're at a pretty open road and it's straight. There's really no attacking going on. Later on in the race, I could see that some of the riders were looking down at their computer while riding in the group, and that's kind of a no-no when you're riding in the pack.
I think up there a little bit is better because the climb will naturally have more space for people, you know?
I'm still talking with the Apex riders because I see that they're sending riders to the front of the group. And they're really trying, but the road is so narrow and there's a center line rule, and that's so I was telling them that, hey, you know, try not to force it and just wait until the climb which is coming up, and the road will naturally, like the gaps will naturally open, and then, you know, there will be a lot easier to move up versus right now they're trying to force themselves to the front, which is okay. I decided to be on the left side of the road because, again, you know, the road is a little wet, and I also want to give myself an out in the case of a random crash. So at least I have a road to swerve into the left side, and at least, you know, dodge just for dodging the crash purposes. So at this point, I'm still focusing on just keeping my positions and trying to move up with the apex rider. But this young rider just slotted in, which is okay. So before the race, I have done a lot of work to prepare for this. There was a pretty competitive group ride where I was able to practice over and over, like riding double pace line, riding in the group, which is such a luxury. It's not something I could do in the previous off seasons. So during this race, I feel pretty relaxed. I feel pretty comfortable riding in the group. As I was moving up, I was just kind of announcing my presence to the riders to my right. Yeah, you can hear there's a lot of random braking here and there. That's the nature of Cat 4-5 race. So the course is about 11 to 12 mile per lap. And the elevation again is about like 300-ish feet of climbing, which is really not a lot. I've done this race last year with Potato Fitness, and the race in my memory was way harder, but this race was a lot easier compared to my memory. I think it also has a lot to do with the equipment choice as well. Last season, I was riding this race on 28 tires, and before this race I decided to run 30 millimeter tires with tubeless setup, and I was riding like 50 psi for the race, and I actually feel very, very comfortable and very, very confident. Because where I mounted the GoPro is right below the computer, so the camera couldn't catch as much field of view as my eyes. And at this point, I'm always focusing on riding on the hood because I could see further up the road. I can see what's going on, and I want to always make sure I keep an eye out to see if a brake has gone. The race was surprisingly warm. It wasn't cold. I don't really need really heavy overshoot. I did wear a jacket, like a wind vest, and I was feeling very comfortable. And I was able to remind myself to keep drinking and keep consuming the carbs to make sure I still have energy. I know that Apex is going to try to make a lot of moves. However, I don't want to be marking the moves this early, just because I know like everyone is still fresh during first lap, and everyone's going to try to bring it back. So I don't really feel as much pressure. And another thing I was trying to work on this race is try not to hit the wind with no purpose. So at this right now, I was trying to move with the Mercedes rider, which is in red, but yeah, and that led to me facing the wind like for a long time. So I decided to just drop back and let other riders fill in. One thing I didn't do a good job on, and maybe I can improve during the next race, is make a note of where the wind direction. Because even like right now, I have no idea where the wind direction is. It feels pretty easy. I don't think the wind has played a big factor during this race, but it's just something I should be paying attention to. So even though right now I'm in the wind, but it's a downhill section, and during the downhill section, I don't want to be inside the big pack because everyone's nervous, and you know, sometimes people might be randomly just brake checking for no reason. So I just decided to, you know, let the gravity pull me through. At the same time, I'm always looking backwards as I'm. So right now I was mentally preparing myself for this apex rider pulling through. So I just, you know, make a short effort and then quickly latch on. I know it wasn't like the best move to go right now with them because we're at a downhill. So unless you're doing monster loss, you really can't stay away. Like right before the race, during the warm-up, my gear was shifting really weird. So I was suspecting that my derailleur hanger was slightly bent right before the race, which is not not something you want to discover at the beginning of the race. So I will try my very best to get it to a rideable condition, but it was still not ideal. During the whole race, my gear was, you know, a little jumpy, but yeah, you just have to deal with it. Yeah, the apex rider pull out to the left, and I didn't really want to pull through. I want to make sure I only hit the wind with a purpose. So at this point, I don't really have a reason to. So I just kind of, you know, move to the left with him, and let other riders filter through. On a narrow course like this, it's really hard to just attack. You kind of like, you will watch videos and people said that, hey, don't attack from the front. It doesn't really work. People will advise you to attack from like 10th wheels back and carry a lot of speed forward, but it doesn't really work on a narrow course like this. Especially this field is like the biggest of the day. We have about 52 riders total, so that you quickly run out of rooms. The whole lane was all packed with riders, so most of the attacks are actually coming from the front, which, you know, we'll talk about it when we see the next one. So at this point, I see another apex rider moving up, and I just got done covering a move, and I just, you know, and this is a slight climb, and then so this is something I was going to point out, is the rider who just kind of got out of the saddle and sprinted up. He could have just stayed seated and then do a smoother effort, and that's it's just details like that. Because, you know, if you kind of got out of the saddle, sprint, and just, you know, just to sit down, it's kind of a waste of energy, especially this early on into the race. The front is not going to stay away. It's not going to have any breakaway at like this early into the race, so it's kind of a waste of match. So yeah, I see the apex riders. They're all moving up to the left. So at this point, I'm trying to find a good wheel so I can move up. At this point, my teammate Thomas, who is on my left right now, and I told him to, hey, you gotta move up to mark the attacks, because I just got done marking one. And yeah, he took my, I was yelling at him, go behind the apex guys, and then now he was able to find a wheel to move up. That was pretty good. Yeah, there's in the big pack, there's just people randomly brake checking at this point. So there's something really funny just happened. So right now, I think Apex, they launch like a big move, and I was pretty happy that Thomas was able to be in the front and covering it, at least following the move. At this point, I was getting a little nervous because I see so many people are, accelerating forward. But the funniest thing is the lead car ended up going off course. So we were supposed to take this right turn. However, the lead car did not make this right turn, and a bunch of riders ended up going off course. So at this point, everyone was yelling neutral, neutral. So and I just decided to slowly move up. At least I know it's neutral, but hey, this is free position for me, so why not? So I decided to slowly move myself to the front and then waiting for the next Apex attack. Yeah, at this point that was pretty hilarious, and I was actually pretty glad that happened. So it's almost like the lead car covered neutralized a threatening Apex move for us. It was kind of lucky that they went off course, because at this point, judging from what happened later in the race, I feel like having everyone's kind of slow down and then make that right turn safely was kind of nice. So at this point, the lead car passed us again. The race resumed. So I see there's still another Apex rider in front of me. So I'm not. I think I'm in the right spot. And then here comes like a series of downhills. And apparently someone's like pretty far ahead, but not really concerned. So this portion is like a slight off camber right turn. I definitely remember it to be way harder than it was, but with my tire pressure, I actually feel like pretty comfortable going through this turn. Yeah, you can see the difference between when I was descending in the front of the pack versus later on when I was in the middle of the pack. There's a huge difference. Right now, I don't have to hit my brake at all. I was just, focusing, looking at the race and see how it plays out. And yeah, I just kind of suspect there's a lot of spray on my camera, so I decided to clean it with my gloves. Yeah, at this point, we're reeling the guy in. That guy's never gonna go anywhere during that descent, and he kind of realized that. So at this point, I kind of got boxed in, and that was a mistake that I made. So I see all the guys are moving forward on my left side, and then but I have no room to go because the rider that's slowly filtered back from the earlier attack. And at this point, I was thinking, I need to find myself an out so I can mark the moves, because right now I see at least 3 Apex guys in front of me. If they launch a move right now, and other folks just, oh yeah, there's another one, so at least 4 Apex riders are all ahead of me. So if at this point, if one of them make the move and the other one just kind of slowly in the front and control the race, it's not going to end well for me. And luckily that didn't happen. So right now, you can see on the right side, the path briefly opened. I did briefly thought about like, hey, should I just pass the guy on the right side? But then my best judgment decided against it, because I was like, hey, it's not worth risking it. Oh, at this point there was something super scary. There was a pedestrian with his dog that was just walking on the side of the racing line, and that was really scary. So this descent going into a climb, and luckily the road just opens up. You know, it just naturally opens with people's different speed. So I was able to find myself out of the getting boxed in. So right now I think that, hey, you know, this might be promising. I was not sure, but then I decided to follow because there's at least 2 Apex riders, and I looked to my left. I was like, hey, you know, this guy's moving up, so potentially free speed. But I'm not going to just jump on another guy's wheel. I'm always going to be following another Apex rider. So right now I see him constantly looking back, so I just kind of slotted in. So that ended up working to my favor. I barely burned any watts, and then I was able to just move up freely. Yeah, and then at this point, the Apex rider did make a massive dig, and I was suspecting. I was looking down, and I was like, okay, I can manage this power. Not a big deal. Especially, you know, it's a series of descent, and he kind of did like a very long pull. And I was really hoping that, you know, something might stick, and then I decided to roll with them. And this guy also took a very long pull as well. So learning from Boeing Blastoff, which is one of the double paceline practice, I know my goal is not to just dump a bunch of power. Is to kind of ride as efficiently as possible. So I basically pull like a 5-second, and then I immediately move to the left, and then ask the next guy to pull through. And then at this point I was like looking back and trying to see, hey, do we have a gap? And then someone behind me was yelling at me, was like, hey, let's go, we got a gap. So I was like, okay, sure, and then let me filter in. So I reattached to the back of the so-called brake attempt, and then at this point I was telling the other guy, hey, go. Because you know, I really don't want to be burning a lot of matches. But at this point, I was looking back, and I was like, oh, the whole group is, you know, right behind me. So I was like, I am shutting this down. I am shutting down any efforts. I'm not going to put any more power into making this break succeed. And I think everyone was looking back and realized the same thing. So yeah. Yeah, after this effort, my thought was, hey, I just need to go back to the group and again stay in the front and try to recover. And it was at this point, you can see on the right side, the other Apex rider went. So this is what I was talking about earlier about you on a narrow course on a big field like this, you kind of have to attack from the front. And at this point, I was very boxed in. I cannot react to that move. That move ended up being the winning move. And I wasn't really threatened still at this point because the rate. We're only approaching the end of the first lap, and there's still plenty of there's still plenty of races to be had, and I'm still with the big group, and with the amount of descending that's coming up, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to make the catch. So I kind of let myself filter through. You know, I'm still trying to be as far in the front of the pack as possible. So right now you can see how big of the team they have. It's like at least 5 Apex riders are in front of me. So as we were coming into the descent, I am really not comfortable, like not confident in the riders around me. So I decided to give them a little bit more distance during the descent. So at least if anything were to happen, I can still react. And I think it was around this point, a Taco Time rider, yep, the one on my right, he was, or maybe it's a little bit further ahead, he was asking us if he had a flat. Yeah, I think at this point he sort of noticed it. Maybe? But yeah, he ended up dropping back, which, you know, prevented him from getting caught in the massive piled up. Yeah, so the white jersey rider in front of me, for some reason he just started twitching. It was super scary, and I was yelling at him like, "Hey, keep your line." Yeah, so right now is, if you look to the right side, the race is approaching to the end for me, so I can kind of see when the crash happened. Yeah, at this point the Taco Time rider was asking us, "Hey, do I have a flat?"
I can't really. Oh yeah, it's flat.
Yeah, and then he pulled out. It's approaching 1K to go mark. Yeah, and it's the descent. I just really don't feel comfortable having all the riders getting way too close, so I decided to give the front guys some space. And I think it was at this point, yep, there we go. Yeah, so after the race, I talked to the rider who went down. Apparently, like, as the course was, this particular section was descent into a slight climb, and like two riders, they ended up like having their handlebars tangled up, and one of the riders unfortunately went down, and because all the guys behind are carrying so much speed, so it ended up becoming a massive piled up. Yeah, this is the end of the race for me. I unfortunately went down, and yeah, it was. Luckily, I didn't hit my head or anything. Wasn't too serious for me. Most of the damages are on my bike. Yeah, it was pretty unfortunate. Yeah, after picking up my bike, just surveying the scene, it almost looked like a World War II movie. Fortunately, my teammate Thomas broke his collarbone. Yeah, there are some guys have their bike frame cracked and their fork even snapped in half. So yeah, that was pretty scary. Yep. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's my race. Super disappointed and super sad for the guys that went down. Yeah, on the course like this, which is very what is that? A little risky when it's wet, and especially it's just a 4-5 race. I generally err on the safe side. Well, yeah, this bike, the tire completely come off the rim. That was pretty crazy.
I'm alright. My tire blew out. Anything broken? I don't know. Maybe Thomas got his shoulder red.
Yeah, so it's just a 4-5 race, and everyone just come out trying to learn how to race. So
Can you hold my?
yeah, after talking to the guy who went down first, he was saying that the guy who caused the crash was trying to attack or move while making a very aggressive move, ended up having their bars tangled up. So it's not really worth it, in my opinion, just for a race, and especially this early. Like if this is the last lap of the race, then maybe it could be a little different. Maybe you should be holding a position with a lot more assertion, but this is just end of the first lap. I mean, there's plenty of racing to be had, and yeah, why taking that big risk and putting everyone's well-being in danger? Anyway, so that's all I want to say today, and yeah, hopefully the next race, hopefully I can recover from this and then to the next one.
Where's your bike?
All right, that's it for me.
Actually, we've got the car coming right now. Okay. Yeah.
You alright?
Yeah, my calves are really straight. I need to sit down.
I mean, I crashed pretty late because I just slowed down. Managed to slow down before going over.
Oh, my calves are just all straight.
Hey, I guess you're driving.
Well, that's road racing for you. That's why we stayed at the track. Ain't no brakes on the track. They can't do that to us.
Oh, I saw on Instagram a clip of this track crash, and one guy swerved up over, and he went over the velodrome. Like,
wait, really? You know, there was a crash like that at our track once when in the 1-2, it was like back at 5 years ago at the GP. Some guy, actually this last year. Just last year, someone landed in the beer garden. Remember that?
Oh yeah, the GP.
Yeah. Dude, GP gets wild.
Garmin? Anyone got a Garmin missing?
Oh, if you didn't stop your race.
I see it. Wait, hey Ryder, does that look like? What's his name?
Oscar? Wait, is it Wahoo?
I think Garmin.
No.
No, okay. Because he took off pretty quick. I don't know.
Thank you.
Did he go down?
Yeah, I got you.
Did he go down?
Yeah, he went down, but he
Who
just
went
got
down
back.
first?
I don't know. I was at the back.
I was like, yeah.
Because I was about to take my jacket off.
I tried
to
to stop, and then I couldn't.
Same.
I
My brakes aren't like I got rim brakes and they're nothing.
No, I had this brake, but like we were going really fast.
Yeah.
And then I hit brake, and then I was just slide, and then hit someone, and I went down.
I mean, I stayed up for I was so close to making it through because I just went straight through like 4 people that went down, and there was this one guy, and I like rolled over. I'm like, sorry.
Me too. I just, it's very annoying.
I feel bad.
Someone's blood is like over here.
Yeah. Sorry,
it
that may have
mine?
been me. My bad.
I don't know if it's my blood.
Spin around.
I didn't want to start crawling out of the way. I figured a ball was just
See, here's where my head goes. Hey guys, let's get out of the road in case the next group coming.
Yeah, woman or I think it's the master's right here.
The master, yeah.
Masters 4.5s.
Right there. I'll probably stop my ride.
Can you hold this again? I'm gonna move mine.
Dude, talking about good timing. You're just
I know, I was feeling so. I flatted a half-mile back, and I was so unlucky, and now I feel so lucky. I'm suddenly like, shit.
so you didn't crash, you just stopped.
No, I pulled up to you guys.
I saw you off to the side.
Yeah, yeah, it's because I realized my rear was
just
flat.
getting in a crash. Holy shit.
God damn.
We're so close. We're like 200.
Well, you're like a mile and a half from the start. Because I walked.
You okay, Robin? I come back relatively.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. Good thing is you're okay. You might be banged up.
Oh,
fuck. Oh man, I'm so mad this is a $200 race suit.